Welcome, guys. My name is Arthur. This is Ruben, and we have a free Zoom treat for you on how we share. We went from zero real estate experience to building 225 doors in the last 3 years.
So what's really cool about this is I was able to do this on my own with no experience, with little cash in. I was able to build my first home, turn that into $50,000, roll that into a second home, and make over $100,000 plus as a side gig. And I was working a full-time job all while doing this.
And we walk through how we found a duplex, underwrote the deal, put the plans together, built it, and sold it for a significant profit. And we want to show you exactly how you can do it too.
We're so excited. See you inside. All right, guys. So let's go ahead and get started. We're going to start off by just simply telling our stories and kind of, how did we end up here today? And so my name is Ruben. I'm married. I'm 29 years old. I have 4 beautiful children, 2 boys, 2 girls. I actually just had my baby girl on Thursday. That's a crazy story in itself. My wife, she did a completely all natural labor, like no medicine, no nothing. Blows my mind.
How old are you?
29.
29. I'm 28 years old. I was born and raised here in Vancouver, Washington. I think I was born in Portland. So I guess there's a reason we build in Portland too. And I have 1 kid. His name is Matthew. I'm married to Camila. And we have a second kid on the way. It's a girl. Super excited. And that's coming November.
So a little bit about my journey and how I started. So from a very young age, I was actually in high school, and I decided that I wanted to be like Nike. Like that was just my dream. I just woke up one morning and I was like, I want to be like Nike. And so I was at the grocery store with my mom. I bought some of those instant heat transfer papers where I could print a design, cut it out with scissors, and iron on a design onto a t-shirt. And so I bought those. I did that. I named my company LFS. And I started to print these little designs, iron them onto t-shirts, and sell t-shirts in high school. Little did I know, like me being a big dreamer that I am, I decided to start a actual t-shirt printing company. What that looked like was I built my first t-shirt press out of wood. And I'm trying to sell these t-shirts, hustling these t-shirts out of my trunk. And I'm like, bro, this is not working. Guys, this guy right here, I call Noah. I call him my tank. You guys wouldn't believe this homie walks, falls, trips, like everything. Like you can imagine this guy like rolls down a hill. He just gets up and starts walking. Like the funniest kid ever. I call him my tank. My dad named him that. It's just the most funniest thing. If there's anybody on here that doesn't have kids, I encourage you, go have kids. It's the best blessing that you'll ever find in your entire life. Find the right wife, get married, and have kids. It's amazing.
Cool. So before real estate, I wanted to just give you guys a little background so you guys know how I got into the real estate game. I was working full-time. I went to Washington State University, and I got my degree in project management. And I came to this developer and said, hey, can I work for you for free? He ended up saying, sure, I'll give you a chance. That's where Scott was. And I met Scott Brantley. Super cool dude. And anyways, ended up getting a job there. But at the same time, I was only getting paid, honestly, not much, a few $1,000s a month. So I had to get a side hustle. And my dad is in the auto industry. So I said, all right, I'm going to start flipping cars. I'm going to flip as many as I can. And I put a little collage together for you guys to see. That's probably 10% of the cars that I flipped. I was doing around 40 cars a year. And I would flip anything from European cars to Japanese cars. I ended up loving Subarus, but then I got into all the Fords and stuff because those were a little bit more profitable. But I'd be turning about 2-3 cars a month on the side while working full time. And then past experience, what I did, again, like I said, I was with Scott. We were at the company. We would do these massive developments. The company grew from 150 million in assets to roughly probably 700 million. So the company was growing really fast, and Scott and I got to be a part of that, which was super cool. I did get to build a Starbucks with Scott and a 50 lot subdivision down in the bottom left side. It was 50 townhomes that we sold to a national builder. Ruben was the guy that was working for the national builder and he was managing these projects, which again is super cool because I was doing the development. Ruben was doing the building, both for a different company or not our own business. And then on the right side, you have 215 townhomes. So we were doing these huge subdivisions. All of it was here in Vancouver, Washington, before we kind of scaled out and did our own thing.
A little bit about myself. So I ended up scaling that t-shirt printing company, and I rented a space. We bought this automatic screen printing machine. Shout out to Ryonet. I don't know if they're on here, but they're really cool people here based out of Vancouver. We bought this massive machine for $120,000. We were able to print 500 t-shirts an hour with this machine. And we were printing a ton of shirts for brands, for businesses, for schools, and for churches. But and then as you guys can see down here, I don't know if you can see my mouse, but Mark Basarab, the OG, he stuck with me through all of it. It was tough.
We built him a house, actually.
Yeah,
we helped him get a home.
So essentially, the business wasn't doing so well. Like I was trying to scale it, I was trying to grow it as hard as I could, and I wasn't able to. So I started to reach out for help. I started to look for mentors in this space. And lo and behold, Mark sends me this guy off of Instagram, and I DM him. I'm like, hey, can I like come to your shop and work for you for free for a week? And he's like, what? He replied, he's like, what? He's like, sure, stop by. And so I got in my Prius. I was broke as a joke back then. With Mark, we got into the Prius with my wife. I even had my kid with me, and we drove to California. On the way to California, my radiator hose blew. I blew the engine on the Prius. It stopped working. But we finally made it. We got to California. I'm talking with this guy. I'm talking about all my ambition and all this kind of stuff. And he's like, brother, you are soaring in the clouds. That's not possible, what you want to do. He's like, so he put me on his podcast called Saving Shop, because I was like, if that's how it is, I'm out. I'm getting out of this business. And that was the beginning of the end of that business. I shut down that business. And I got into construction after that. My dad was in cars, and my dad's like, whatever you do, don't get into cars. Like real estate, construction, and trucking.
No, I said real estate first, trucking second, and cars are third.
Yeah.
No offense to all the truckers.
No offense to all the truckers, but my dad's like, anything but cars. Like it's just a hard business. And so we decided to go into real estate. Arthur went from cars into real estate development with Hurley, and I went into construction by working for a national builder. And so my friend referred me, and he's like, hey, like I know this guy in construction and he can get you a job. And so I apply at this national builder, and I show up to the interview, and I'm like talking, I'm like, yeah, I'm a business owner, I do all this, and like I want to be into construction. Like just bombed the interview, told them way too much. And I'm like, yes, Stevie referred me. And they're like, who's Stevie? I'm like, well, he works here. They're like, we don't know a Stevie. We don't know what you're talking about. And so it turns out Stevie was just a subcontractor for that company. And like the higher up didn't even know his name. And I still got an interview. I think they re-interviewed me 2 more times after that. It took me like 3 interviews just to get into it. Guys, 0 construction experience. So I get hired as a assistant project manager. And I start basically being like a errand boy. Like they sent me into crawl spaces. I would just clean up trash, walk around properties and stuff like that. And about 6 months into project managing for them, or being, I apologize, assistant project management, I decided just to risk it. I reached out to another builder local in our area. He had a leftover lot. And I asked him, I was like, hey, can I buy this lot? And so essentially what ended up happening is I bought this lot. I'm working for this national builder. I'm building this house on the side. And then I go through the entire process by myself. Like, mind you, I haven't officially built a house yet for this like national builder. Like I'm picking up trash. And on the side after work, like after hours, I'm building this
30
house.
minutes a day.
Yeah, like 30 minutes, maybe an hour a day, like texting a few people here and there. I like 9 months in, I think 9 months in, I'm like posting on my story and stuff like that, get called into the office, and they're like, what is this? They slide a printed picture of my Instagram post across the table. I'm like, oh, it's just a house I'm building. What are your plans with the house? I don't know. I think I'm gonna sell it, maybe move into it. They're like, yeah, you can go home. We'll let you know about our decision a little bit later. So I go home and I'm like, I guess like they're like, I was like, so am I fired? Like, what's going on? They're like, we'll let you know with our decision. I go home, I text my wife, I'm like, honey, I think I lost my job. And so I was super confused. Like, it turns out, like during my interview, like I was there at the office, like they handed me like this massive like employee handbook, and they're like, all right, read this, and then like we can get you on to the next part of the training. So she makes like one loop around the office, and she's like, looks at me, she's like, you're done? I'm like, yeah, I guess. So I never read the book, never knew that was against their policy, got let go, whatever, it is what it is. The morning after I got let go, they sent me like this FedEx package, termination papers. And I was like, all right, it is what it is. I guess we're going all in. I was so nervous, so stressed out, like could like barely could sell that house, but ended up selling it. It was during the winter months, one of the slower seasons, sold that house, made some money, and I was like, I mean, it worked. I guess I made maybe half my income in one build in a few months after hours. Like, it's possible. And so that was the beginning of my construction company. I started to take on more projects. Meanwhile, Arthur's developing all these massive subdivisions, and I'm just doing like one little house here and there. I'm doing like a little basement remodel. Like, I'm like, it was crazy. And so, Arthur, tell a little bit more about your story.
I mean, I shared it. I ended up well, I joined Crossroads Worship. That's where the owner of this development company was. And for some reason, every time that he would lead worship, I was not on the worship. And I really wanted to get in front of this guy and just talk to him. Long story short, a buddy of mine referred me to him, and he said, I don't have time for coffee. Because I said, let me sit down, let me have some coffee with you. He said, no, but I have like 5 minutes. Come stop by my office and say hi. I literally sat there and I just shared what I was doing with cars. I went to school, project management. He said, you know what? You can work for free. Like, that's the best I can do. Otherwise, I'm sorry, I can't do anything. And what I did is, when he hired me, as it was an internship, in the first 3 months, I acted like this. I was getting paid $1 million an hour. I did everything above and beyond. By the second month, he offered me a full-time job. He said, look, based on the way you're working, I can put you in this project management position, and you can run these projects. And so from that point on, I mean, within 6 months, I started finding deals. I started putting deals together. I found a 50 lot subdivision, a 100 lot subdivision, and his eyes went like, what in the world is this guy doing? But I took everything and the discipline and the determination from flipping cars, and I said, I'm going to do that and turn it here. And all I would do is literally just listen. They would be in meetings, and I'm like, what did they say? What was that? What was this? And I started just taking a little bit of action on what they were saying. And that resulted in me bringing on these 300 lot subdivisions where they were just shocked. They don't know how this kid who's, I don't know if I was 22 maybe, 22 years old, and bringing him these big deals that usually you find one of these deals every couple of years. I was finding 9 or 10 deals in the first 7, 8 months.
So I built that house. I sold it. I got fired from my job, and I just went all into construction. So at first, I had a really hard time. Like, I tried to become a general contractor, get jobs, get paid for the jobs, and like chase after clients, try to get paid by them, and like taking way too long, project over budget, or this or that. And so I was like, man, like building my own house while I was working a full-time job just on the side was so much easier than this general contracting business. Like, it's just difficult. You know what I mean? And so I started to look for deals. I found this guy. He sold me like a package deal. And so I found this package deal, and all I needed to do was raise capital for the deal. So I knew how to build. It was maybe a little bit over my league. You know, it was a duplex, and all I needed to do was find the capital and get a loan. And so what I ended up doing was the guy that gave me the package deal gave me a referral to a hard money lender. A hard money lender looks at the deal itself, not the person that's getting the money. And so that was really beneficial for me, because to be honest, I didn't have the income. I wasn't making much money. I didn't have the experience. Like, yeah, sure, I worked for a national builder for I think 9 months or something like that, a little bit more maybe, and built one house. Like as a guy, like on paper, I didn't look so good. And so I brought him the deal. The numbers made sense. And I went to friends, family, like I reached out to a bunch of people, and somebody decided to believe in me. And I asked them, I think it was, how much was that deal? Like 80 grand,
I don't remember.
maybe. So 80, 90 grand. And the agreement was like, hey, you give me the money, I'll do all the work, I'll get the loan, I'll do absolutely everything. I'll list it for sale, I'll get the realtor involved, like I'll do all the repairs, everything that you need. You just bring the capital and I'll give you 50% of the profit. That's exactly what I did. And so I started building that project. Man, guys, it was easier than building a house, because what ends up happening with a duplex is you're building one house, but you just have two of them. So you hire one plumber and he does the job on both. You hire one electrician, he does the job on both. Exactly copy and paste. And so lo and behold, I'm standing there few months into the project. I think it took me like what, like 6 months maybe to build that project. And I'm looking at this building and I'm like, what the heck? Like, it can't be this easy. I list it on the market. I'm sitting there, my stomach is turning, like day one on the market, no offers, no offers. What the heck, you know? And like day two, day three, like 60 days on the market. I'm sitting there like anxiety through the roof, like paying this hard money, 12% interest, like freaking out, like, honey, pray for me. Like, what am I supposed to do? Like, how do I sell this house? Like, you know, and so all of a sudden, boom, at one moment, we get one offer. I'm like, no freaking way. So I'm just like super amped. Like a week goes by, get a second offer. Guys, honestly, the worst part about all of this is waiting for offers. That's it. So if you underwrite your deal the right way, you list it at the right way, then the unit will move, right? The house will move, the apartment will move, the condo will move, doesn't matter. That's the most critical piece of advice that I learned is like, if you price it right, it will sell. And so that's really how I started. I started one house on the side. I was like, had no money whatsoever. I raised the capital, built my first duplex, and then it just kind of started snowballing from there. QN, that's when I met Joseph. Joseph is a G. I love that guy so much. I owe him, like I was driving I think on I-5 one day, and I'm driving over the bridge, and I'm a believer, I'm a Christian, and so I'm sitting there and I'm like, God, I need help. I don't know what I'm doing. Like, I don't know what I'm doing. I just need your help. Like, send me someone to help. And so Joseph comes in, and we start building our first 6 unit. After we built our first 6 unit product, then we moved into building I think it was Lombard. That was another duplex, and then we started snowballing from there. I think a year or two later, we built our first 8 houses. That was pretty cool. That was actually with Arthur. So that was pretty cool.
Yeah,
And
so this slide is maybe 20% of all the projects we built. We went from one house, I think, to 6 houses the next year, to 30 the next year. And then we were doing, honestly, we lost track, but it was a lot of fun, and we're still doing it. We're still pushing. We built our first 15-unit apartment. I think I said on the podcast, the 15-unit was probably easier than the first house Ruben and I built, just because you figure out the process and the system. But really, I wanted to highlight, we're going to go through the 7-step process and show you guys exactly how we do it. But the big thing is Ruben has a lot of stories to tell. I want to make sure we provide you guys value. So the first way that I would say is to get into real estate and to at least get your foot in the door is Ruben built his first house, which was a investment. So he built this house, he sold it, he made some money, and I also built my first house, which was an investment. I was more scared. I was more worried. I literally lost nights of sleep because I was so worried about this investment. I realized when I built my personal house, I felt like I was on cloud 9. The reason for it is if I go buy a house and I have a payment, Why don't I just build a house and have a payment? And so that's where the first like value or the first gold nugget is a primary residence construction loan. And both of us did it. We did it a couple times. We created a lot of equity through it. It's literally, instead of buying a house, you can buy a lot. And with the lot, you can go get a construction loan, but the construction loan is not hard money. There are programs out there in your city, our city, where you can get a loan that is a 1-year construction loan, and then it automatically converts to a 30-year mortgage at a standard payment. So my first house, I built a 2,600 square foot house. I put down 43 grand, and my payment was $1,900 a month. It took me 7 months to build it, and I had honestly, I think I walked away with over 200,000 when I sold it, and I didn't pay $1 in tax, because there's also a benefit from the taxes that you can make if you're married up to 500,000, and that's money that you keep in your bank because it's your personal house. The only thing you have to do is live there for 2 years. If you're single, you can still do it, but it's 250 grand if you're single. And so both Ruben and I realized after taking these hard money loans and taking the risk that there is a way easier way, and it's not just one, you can literally do 4.
That's actually a really key piece of information, in my opinion. If I was you, like, I would absolutely just go for building a personal house, because the loan products that are available for building your own personal house are so much better than all these hard money, high interest, high risk products out there that you really need to be prepared for and have an amazing strategy on how you're going to get out of it and what happens if you can't get out of it and all that kind of stuff. And it just gets a lot more complicated. But building your own personal house is so much more simple. The down payment is so much more, smaller.
3.5%. So again, if there's one thing you get out of this, it's build your primary house. It doesn't have to be your first house you've ever owned. If you're living in a house right now, you can still go get a primary new construction loan. There's just a few things you've got to do. There's some paperwork where you're still allowed to build it if you own a first home, and you can put as little as 3.5% down. So one thing that I would take is that, like, that's everything, because you do that, you automatically will have at least 20% of equity. And now with 20% equity, that takes some people 10, 15 years to get. And buying a house, unless you're going to do it like a fix and flip, you go buy a rundown house and then you remodel it, it's not really worth it. I'd rather build something. It's brand new. It smells good. You choose everything. You can literally choose the colors, whatever you want. But that's the first thing that I would say is, if there's one thing you do, and the younger you are, the better. But even if you're 40, 50, 60, go do that. You can go build, and the bigger the house, to be honest, as long as you can afford it, the better. If you go build a 3,000 or 4,000 square foot house, I know a few guys that had over $1 million in equity just by building it, and 5 years later, it appreciated it. They first built it, they had 20%, 15 to 20% of equity, and over 5 years, you saw COVID, everything else, they now pulled a line of credit of 600-700 grand. With that line of credit, they're now investing in projects with us, all because of a personal house. So I'm telling you, your life will change if you at least figure out the game of a personal house. Now, with doing projects and reselling them, absolutely, it's what we do. But the big thing, the first thing is that, and I'm going to walk through that process of how I do it.
I mean, I absolutely had no money. Like, guys, no joke. I got married, like, got into so much debt with the t-shirt business, and building my personal house set me free from all my debt. So
how much debt were you in from your t-shirt company?
You
don't even want to say it.
It was a lot.
It was more than 6 figures.
Yeah, $250,000 of debt from the t-shirt printing company. So it was insane. But guess how I got out of debt? By building my own house. So
how many houses?
One house. That's the craziest thing. And so what I want to tell you guys today is my very first house. It was, I think, 3.5% down. I think it was something like $4,000 or $5,000. Closing costs added a little bit to that. I got that money by asking my parents and asking my in-laws. And I was like, guys, I need $2,500. I found this good deal in this house. Like, I want to buy it. So I bought this house. We added on to it, which is almost like new construction. It raised in value, and we went and sold it on the market for $50,000 more, clean in my bank. And I was able to pay no tax on that because I lived there for more than 2 years. And so my key thing that I want you to know today, like, building your own house in today's economy, in today's world, anything, it is for absolutely everyone. Everyone, even if you start with a 1,700 square foot house like I did, I think it was like 1,685 or something like that, small house. You start there. The point is you can force create equity through remodel. You can force create equity through new construction. And then you can start to roll over that money tax free. So like other people are paying 10, 20, 30, 40, 50% in taxes. You're paying zero, right? You're paying zero, and you can roll that into a lot with a primary residence construction loan where it's a 5% down payment and build your own house. And at the end of the day, you can be left with 20%, 30%. Yeah, I mean, Arthur mentioned some guys have crazy equity, like, but you can actually create like literally 20% equity. We're talking 50,000, 60, 70,000, $80,000. And that's a big enough down payment to put on a lot to build a house from that first house that you buy. And so really what I want to say is like, this is for anyone. This is possible. And I want to show you the way that we did it. And so the most important thing that I want you to understand today, primary residence loan, building your own house is absolutely the way to go in today's market. And
I posted today, they drop rates to 5.5%. The crazy thing is if you had a lot today and you're going to go get this construction loan, what they're going to do is for the first year, they're going to increase your interest rate to 6.5%. A hard money loan is 11%. And the reason they increase is because the house is not built. So they're taking a little bit of risk with you. But once you finish construction, the rate will drop to whatever the market rate is. I'm pretty sure the rate from today in 9 months is going to be less than 5.5%. So if you start a house today or in the next month or two, by the time you finish it, you're most likely going to be at that like 4.5% interest rate. And once it hits 4.5%, I'm telling you right now, the market's going to go, it's going to start shooting up. And you already locked in a house from 7 months ago prices till today prices. By the time you finish the house, if you do it right, I'm telling you guys are going to have a lot of equity. A lot of people, it's a year's salary just by doing that instead of buying a house. So if you have a W-9 job or if you have a business, you're making, 5, 6, 7, 8,000. If you're not making as much, you can still do it. You can do it with a remodeled house. So there's the same program. You just have to structure it right, where you can get a rundown house and get a 1-year loan to remodel it. They're going to reappraise it, and then they're going to turn it into a 30-year mortgage. Both of them work. You just got to know how to do the paperwork and have the right people. So step one, I wanted to go through our duplex. This is where I really want to provide you guys how we do this. Is finding the lot. A lot of you guys asked, how in the world do you find these lots? Number one, real estate agents. What I will say with real estate agents though, is they only get paid when they provide you with a lot. So if it was me, I would talk to as many real estate agents as I can. And I would tell them what you're looking for. I'd say, hey, I build houses to sell. My plan is to continue to build. I can also do some fix and flip. And what you're doing is you're creating interest. But here's the key, a little gold nugget. When you're talking to a real estate agent, what you can tell them, even if it's your personal house, because honestly, 50% of the time you shift, life changes, you may end up selling it. If it's not now, it's in 2 years. I like to sell my house every 2 years. So I took the benefit of $500,000 of tax-free money. Obviously, it depends on how you structure it. You might make 100, you might make 50, you might make 250, you might make 500. But you have 2 years, you don't pay it, you build your next house. And the way I structure it is I try to start building my house 1 year into living in this house. So by the time I finish the new house, the old house is now 2 years old and I can sell it. So within 10 years, I sold 5 personal houses and I paid 0 tax on those. Anyways, so real estate agents, what you do with them is you say, hey, I'm looking for a single family home lot, or I'm looking for a duplex lot or a 4-plex lot. And you say, I will give you the list back when I'm selling my house. As soon as you say that, that's like music to their ears, because now they don't just earn your business on the lot, right? They find you a lot. They make 2.5% on a $200,000 lot. They might make $5,000. That's kind of interesting. But now when you sell this house for $500,000-600 grand, they're going to get another $20,000. So you have literally a $25,000 ticket, and you're telling this agent, hey, I'll pay you 25 grand. Just find me a lot. And so what I would do is I'd try to find 3, 4, 5 different agents, build good relationships with them, because each one of them has their own network. Honestly, on the MLS, it's not as likely. It's more of building relationships with these agents that have clients. And I probably have 5 or 6 agents. One of my best agents, Daryl, does this for us all the time. He probably has almost all of our listings. The reason for it is he brings us a lot of these deals, and a lot of them we still do off market, but we work with him because we built that relationship. So when you give them a list back and they do a good job, you say, hey, all these other properties I have, go ahead and list them for me. So probably 20-30% of our inventory comes from our real estate agent off the market because he has the relationships, and we give him a list back and we put it in the contract. We literally will give you a list back. That's a huge key. The second one is go to investorlift.com. Investorlift.com. It's free. A good buddy of mine created this program. It's not a program, created this system and software where it's hundreds of thousands of sellers and buyers specifically for off-market deals. If you sign up for that, throw in your email, everything else, and just put what city, what state, what county, whatever specifically you're looking for, and just put, I want a vacant lot, or if you want a duplex, if you want anything, fix and flip, whatever it is, it'll start emailing you notifications from different sellers. It could be wholesalers. It could be just sellers posting their deal, and you're going to get off-market deals. No agents involved, and it's literally right into your email. As soon as it comes out, you get it. We also wholesale. We've sold over 45 contracts this year. And you see deals closed. Washington, Oregon, California, Arizona, Georgia, Tennessee, Florida, Michigan, Minnesota, Louisiana, South Carolina, North Carolina, Illinois. You're only allowed to do one wholesale deal. So we did one there. Virginia, Ohio, Alabama, and Texas. That's everywhere that we've sold a deal this year. We averaged around 20 grand. We got a contract. We said, hey, we'll buy this property for 100,000 from you. I found a person that's a seller actually on Investor Lift. I would list it up. They would call me and they say, hey, I will pay you 120,000 for this deal. Great. All I do is put a title company. You put them together. I keep the 20. They pay 120. The seller gets 100. I got the money in the middle. So we did about 45 of those on top of our new construction. Just letting you know, if we've pushed that many deals through, we sold a lot to a builder in North Carolina. He's building a duplex on it. The dude is so excited. He builds 100 houses a year. We got it under contract for 93 grand. We sold it for 115 to him. We never actually closed on the property. We just got the difference. So again, investorlift.com, sign up for that. You'll get deals. If you're in North Carolina, South Carolina, they're in every single state. I use them for getting properties out there. You can use it for finding properties. Again, if it's going to be for investment or if it's going to be to find yourself a deal. For this specific property, this is 30th Street. The local guys, Portland, Vancouver, you guys may have seen this either on the market, but this one was on the MLS. If I'm doing the MLS, I set my own notifications. So use Zillow, use Redfin. If you're looking for a personal lot specifically in Asheville, North Carolina, just throw in what you're looking for and put an email and get instant notifications. You don't even need a real estate agent for the MLS unless you're making an offer. I find 95% of the deals myself off the MLS because I get a notification and right away I'm on it. I call my agent, hey, I want to make an offer on this, like make an offer, escalated. Escalated means this property was listed, I think 190 grand, maybe 195. I threw in an offer of 210 escalated. I'll walk through the step 2, 3. Why? I literally offered up to 15 grand more than what the asking price was because one thing, I ran the numbers backwards and I realized this is a really good deal. It doesn't happen often, but there are good deals. And so I ran an escalated, it went to 206. So I beat somebody else's offer who offered 205. For your personal house, you can do the same thing. You have your agent write up an escalated offer, and now you can compete without putting too high of an offer. I've done this a couple times where I put a 450 offer on a lot because I know I can build 10 houses and I get it for like 412. I literally had a 38K that I'd go up because it was that good of a deal and I want to win it. Right now, the market's not like that. And this was 2022 that I bought it. Interest rates were already like 6%. It was climbing. I still made this offer because I didn't care. The numbers made sense. So finding a lot, those two sources will help you out. We also find a lot of these off market. That's how we got 45 contracts. We have another 5 methods that we do off market, and we'll keep going with it. Let's see. All right, underwriting the deal. So step 2, I'm telling you guys, the first one is finding a lot. Yes, you can go on Zillow right now. There's probably 1,000 properties listed wherever you're trying to find your lot. If you don't know how to run your numbers, you're toast right there. With buying a personal house, the only numbers you're running is trying to just have that $10,000-$20,000 spread. When I run the numbers for the investment, I'm even more aggressive so that I know there's room for error. The thing is, as long as you have a really good deal, I don't know who says it, but lots of people say you make the money on the buy. When you buy the right deal, that's where you make the money. For this deal, again, I threw in there the purchase and sale so you guys can see it was dated in 2022. And I drew up the site plan, underwriting the deal. I'd say you got to look for where's all the utilities, site plan. So what can you even put on this lot? What can you put? I knew on this one right away I could put a duplex. If I was doing a single family home and paying $206,000, I would never pay the price for this. I'll lose money on this deal. I knew it was a duplex. And number three, because it had an alleyway, I knew that I could draw a more open plan and I can feed the garage through the back. So this plan was literally 15 feet wide. That's as wide as a bedroom. I'm telling you, when you walk through this plan or look up the photos, 104 East 30th Street, Vancouver, Washington, look at the photos. The thing looks like it's 30 feet wide. So having the eye for design is really important, but underwriting is the number side of things. It's extremely critical that you underwrite it the right way. I estimated based on comps, this thing would sell for about $1 million. And you'll see again, I'll show you the final numbers on it as well. But
Guys, underwriting the deal is so much more simple than many make it, right? Like the number one rule that I can give you is be conservative on all of your numbers. So what that means is on construction cost, like raise the number a little bit. Just say that it's going to cost you more than you think, because that gives you that reserve. The selling price, lower the selling price. Just say for yourself, what would I be okay with on making this deal? And like this spreadsheet, we can share this template with you. The point is that when you're creating it, all you're doing is reverse engineering. Like something like utilities, which can be a big cost to your project. How am I going to get, my microwave to turn on? Critical thinking. Where's my poop going to go? It's that simple. Where's my water going to come from? Those kind of simple things are important in underwriting the deal and construction costs. And then selling the home, what are homes in the area selling for? What kind of homes are selling? And so you create this kind of, what we call it is a pro forma. How much do you think that this project will make? How well do you think it will perform? And so it's really simple. And we can go into more detail a little bit later, but the next step to the process is step 3, designing and planning out your build. The most important thing about this, what I've learned in my life is keep it simple, stupid. It's that easy. And the reason being is somebody else has already built what you want to build. Unless you're building some multi-million-dollar custom house on 5 to 10 acres, like shopping center with 20-foot cathedral ceilings, and you want to do absolutely custom, then regarding a spec build, a personal house build, like just take it easy. Build something that someone else has built before. On the GIS, no matter your city, no matter your county, you can it's public information. When somebody gets permits, you can see everything online. It's all public. You can literally download plans off of your system. And so basically what we would do is we would either go through different websites, find plans that would fit based on the dimensions. We would email the city, hey, what are the setbacks? A setback is the amount of distance from your property line that you're allowed to build. And once you get all of that data, then you can start to design your plan and what would fit on the build. You don't need to maximize the plan. You don't need to make it fit across the entire lot, but what would fit, that's copy and paste and just go.
Yeah, so I would say the key people in this one is you're going to be working with an architect, obviously, and then you got your engineer and the designer. In the beginning, especially your personal house, you can be the designer. All you need is Google and Pinterest. You throw out the ideas and the architect will put it together. What's cool is with this specific property, I found a picture of a house and you see it right there. It's got that cool look. I did the same thing. I said, hey, can you mirror this? Put 2 of those together. And I want to make a duplex without a garage. You just put a windows and then the door will stay. The architect put that together. And then I actually drew this plan by hand. I drew it out to how I would want to, I visualize like when I walk in, what do I want to see? And so I drew up the plan. I sent it to the architect. I sent him all the pictures of what I liked. I put together like 5 or 6 different pictures, and boom, he put a plan together for me.
So
So
a free resource for that is Google SketchUp, guys. It's a really easy tool to use. It's free, and you can draw out and build whatever you want. A couple hours in the program, you'll learn how to make models. Guys, thank you so much for getting this far in the video. I'm proud of you. We've put together 2 courses labeling this process A to Z.
The first course is Deal Finder. It's how I find, underwrite, and get the best deals for a personal house, fix and flip, or if you want to buy a duplex, triplex, or fourplex. And I teach you how we sell these deals all from home, laptop, selling it nationwide through 17 different states.
I'm super excited about the second one. It's called First Time Builder. In this program, you're going to learn how to build a house, even if you work a full-time job, and take home a 6-figure check. The best part about this course is that we do Zoom calls weekly, and you're going to be able to answer, we're going to be able to answer all your questions, anything that you have, and give you support for the next 6 to 12 months while you complete this entire project and take home that 6-figure check.
Click the link below.
Step 4 is the permit process. Now, a lot of people, I was actually just taking an Uber the other day, and I was talking to the Uber driver, and she's like, screw the city, screw the county, like permits are so difficult. They made it impossible for just us regular people to build nowadays, to remodel nowadays. And I was like, man, like she doesn't know. Like it's so simple. Like, and so I'm like explaining to her, I'm like, why is it so simple? Here's the reason why. When you're looking for an architect, just like you need to find like a rock star realtor who's actually going to work for you and build a long-term relationship with you, you need to find a good architect, and you need to stack up your team the right way. Because the truth is you are paying them as a service. They're not, that means that they're in the business to make you happy so that they can get paid. And so I went through a lot of different architects, but eventually I found a few good ones that would design the plan for me the way that I wanted it. I would literally just give them either a very ugly SketchUp model or Pinterest photos or Google photos. I would put it out on a piece of scrap graph paper, like, oh, I kind of want it like this. And you start to kind of gain like a visual understanding of the house as you start walking maybe new construction houses. You're like, oh, so this is what a 6-foot wide hallway feels like. Oh, okay. So this is what happens when I have too many doors in one wall and like it looks all wonky. And so essentially I found these architects were like, hey, for an extra fee, I'll submit everything for you. And I was like, no way. And so you just pay a couple extra $100. They will submit absolutely everything for you through the permit process. I like to call this babysitting, adult babysitting, because for me, like I just say, this is what I want. And then they're like, okay, sounds good. And then like 2 days go by. Hey, how's it going? Is it done? And they come back. No, I'm sorry, I'm busy. I'll get back to you in 2 days. Okay, I text back in 2 days. Hey, how's it going? Is it done? Like that's literally what I'm doing. And then he's like, one day he emails me, hey, here's the full submittal. I'm like, great, what do you need from me? He's like, well, I need you to do the erosion plan. I'm like, what's an erosion plan? He's like, well, I have this one from this other builder. Like, can you copy it and do it? I'm like, great. I get the copy, I put it in front of me, and I start figuring out, oh, okay, this is how you do this. And it's so easy. Just give it all back to him. He's like, great, the permits are submitted to the city. Here's a payment link. Can you pay $400 for the submittal permit fees? I'm like, okay. Pay the permit fees. City takes like 2 weeks, 3 weeks. They're taking longer than they expected. I email the city. I'm like, hey, when am I going to get my first review back? And the only reason I'm talking like that is because the architect told me that they will email me when the first review is back. It's that simple. And so I'm just going back and forth. And they tell me, fix this. Okay, architect, fix this. Architect gives back to me. I give it back to the city. Back to me, back to architect. And so that's the permit process. You don't need to be an expert in permits. You don't need to be an expert in plans. You don't need to be an expert in erosion plans, because the architect is the expert. He's the one you're relying on. And the city, he has to follow the code to get it approved. And he wants to get it approved because he wants to get paid.
All right, financing. Huge deal. A lot of people get confused on this. If you're doing a personal house, I threw up this is for 30th. We did it as an investment. Honestly, if I built this duplex as a personal house, it would probably be one of the best moves I've done to date, because I would have probably put 40, I would have put $40,000 down, and I would have 2 units right in downtown Vancouver, and downtown Vancouver is blowing up. And I would have moved out of my unit and rented that one, and I would have 2 units rented at 6%. I'd refi it probably within the next year. I'd hold off, and then once I get to 4.5, refi. And I would have now 2 rental units on a primary 30-year loan locked, done. And I move on to my personal house. I did it as an investment at that time. I didn't think through that process, but I wanted to show you guys this duplex because you can do it as a personal or a primary residence and rent half of it, live in half. When you're done and you're like, oh, my business is doing well, or I got a better job, you can then rent the second part or the second half and go and build yourself a new house. So with the financing side of things, I mean, it's pretty simple from the personal house. Find a loan officer, and we can share how we find loan officers, but you find a loan officer that's experienced, they know what they're doing, they're smart, they will walk you through the entire process, they'll hold your hand and make sure you can get the financing. And then if it comes down to credit and all these other things, we work with credit repair people. They'll help your credit in, like, I don't know, 6 months. Ruben
Yep.
blasted his credit in 6 months to over
So with
750.
my first company, like me being in debt, my credit was really crappy. So in a few months, I hired someone. It was fairly inexpensive, and I was able to repair my credit and build my first house with the equity from the house that I sold.
Yeah, so for this financing, if you were doing it as an investment, it should be pretty similar from the personal. You have term sheets. What that means is the lender is going to say, hey, this is what I'm going to charge you. So at that time, I got this loan locked in for 8% for, I think, 12 months. And then they'll put together a full budget, or you put together a full budget for the bank on what that cost is going to be. I mean, really it's the general contractor, but if you're going to be building it yourself, you'll do that. And then 3, you get an appraisal, which they'll order the appraisal, but they'll package everything together, and then you're going to be set up for financing. Again, it's going to be a year of the construction only loan. And then once you finish it, they inspect it one more time. They make sure all the numbers make sense. The cool thing is, for example, on my personal house, my budget, I didn't blow through the budget. I actually had leftover money. So they give you all of the money. I got 500,000 and it cost me 470,000. So the rest of it just sat in the bank. I had 30,000 sitting in the bank. I finished my house. And so if I put down 43,000 and I had leftover 30 grand, it's cushion. It's cushion left. If it's used, if it's not, they give you the full amount of the draw. So I had additional money. The great thing is, literally now I'm living in a beautiful house that's worth just about $1 million, and it cost me 13,500. I needed the money up front, but I ended up saving by just doing things a little bit smarter. The way that we designed it, we obviously know how to save money on certain areas. So you can build a house the wrong way, you can build a house the right way. If you're smart with it, you should be able to save 50, 60,000. That was really cool. I literally forgot that I did that, but it was awesome.
Guys, I just want to remind you guys, in the United States of America, if you build your own home and you use the loan products available, you will put down such a small down payment and you will win. For me, it's like the lowest risk thing that you can do. Getting a hard money loan, borrowing money from other people, that's more risky, right? Because you have a lot more on the line. But building a personal house for yourself, I've heard, I can't verify this, but I've heard people use like USDA programs, 0% down in rural areas, and build homes themselves. The programs that I know are 5% down,
3.5, yeah,
3.5% down, and your loan officer, your local credit union, they'll be able to give you those programs.
So with this duplex, I literally took from my iPhone, September 14th, 2022 is when we cut the trees down. That's after we closed. And then it's going to be February 19th. That's already listed. We've staged it. I put a little gas fireplace and made it look kind of cute. We already had it listed for, I don't know, 2 weeks. This project took us 4 months and 3 weeks. I believe Mr. Joseph himself built this one, so we crushed it. It was super exciting. And Ruben will walk through the step-by-step process of how he builds a house. If I can just help 5 of you guys from this information go build a personal house, and in 3 to 5 years, you're going to call me or DM me and say, dude, I have equity in my house. I'm so happy I didn't buy a house. praise God that,
Yeah.
and I wish I knew this earlier. When I was first looking for a house, I was scared to buy it. They were way cheaper. I had people saying, go build it, go do this, but they didn't tell me how to do the 7 steps. Like I thought it was a million steps. It's as simple as 7. And so again, go do it and crush it.
I literally learned by watching. So my very first build that I ever did, I bought a lot from a builder next to me. And so I was just like, okay, what's he doing? And I'm going to figure it out. So I noticed like the very first time when I built my first house, he got an excavator on site. So I'm like calling everybody I know. Hey, do you know an excavator? Hey, do you know an excavator? Can't find one. And so really, really simple. I found an excavator. I got him to the site. All I did was compare different prices, got the best price, hired the excavator. He starts to dig out. I'm like, he's telling me what to do. He's like, hey, go to the store, buy this pipe. I'm like, you got it. He's like, okay, can you call a dump truck? I'm like, okay, sounds good. I'm like calling a bazillion people trying to figure out a dump truck. Mind you, like texting is so powerful now. You text a few people, they give you 1 contact, 2 contacts, 3 contacts, and like you're spending a few minutes just texting 3 people, and boom, you got a dump truck, you got an excavator on site. Because you got to understand, guys, these guys are business owners. They just simply want to get the job done and they just want to get paid. So if they do those 2 things, you're good to go. So I'm watching this builder. I get excavation done. Inspector shows up. Inspector's like, where's your survey? I'm like, what's a survey? Like, no joke. What's a survey? And so like I find a survey, I get a survey, I get the PDF, surveyor brings it, puts it on the fence. And so after the survey, I'm able to move on to foundation. Foundation, again, get a contractor out there. He builds it out. Inspector comes, give me your survey. Now I know what a survey is. Here you go, sir. Give me a survey, passed inspection. Then all of a sudden, I'm like, okay, what do I do next? Guys, the funniest thing happened. I'm like, okay, well, that guy's doing framing. So I hire a framer and I start framing. So house is going up. Like, I'm like looking, I'm like, okay, plumber goes first, I think. So plumber shows up, HVAC shows up, and HVAC guy's like, hey, why didn't you call me earlier? It's too late. I'm like, what are you talking about? It's too late. Like, the house is open. Put your pipes in. He's like, you're supposed to call me before the first walls go up so that I can put pipes underneath the crawl space to your floor vents. And I'm like, man, what do I do? I messed up. And the guy's like, it's okay. I'll crawl through the crawl space. So it was inconvenient for the HVAC guy, but he was crawling there underneath the crawl space this tall.
Praise God, it was not slab on grade.
That's a whole different story. So the guy's like putting pipes in under the crawl space. The plumber's working upstairs, putting in the drain pipes. Like, guys, I'm serious. Like, I knew nothing. I knew absolutely nothing. And the guy is telling me what to do. I'm running to Home Depot back and forth. And then like I meet this builder and the builder's like laughing at me. And he's like, what are you doing? I'm like, bro, like I'm running to Home Depot, pick up these pipes. Like I'm like running and like for this excavator, getting these survey stakes done. And the guy's like, that's their job. Why are you doing their job? Like these guys are like sitting at home on the couch after work laughing at you because you're running around and doing their errands that you're paying them for. And so after that, framing's going, installation guy's like, hey, can you run, go get this for me? I'm like, no.
Hey, Ruben's not even halfway through the house and he figured out that he shouldn't be doing everybody's job.
And these guys like, I'm like, no. He's like, okay, no problem. We'll be done tomorrow morning. I'm sitting there and I'm like, bro, like this guy, like they've been taking advantage of me. And so it's like, I wish that I had a mentor to teach me the simple stuff. And like the rest of the construction process, guys, my time into the project dropped by honestly 5x. I stopped showing up to the site. Like, I don't know if that's the best advice, but I stopped showing up to the site. I was there once every 3 days, few minutes a day. Like I look, is everything done? Great. I talked to the contractor. Is everything done?
Yeah, is awesome.
I'm like talking to the contractor. Is everything done? Because I don't know what to look for. He's like, yeah. Call inspection for tomorrow. I call inspection. Inspector comes, fail right away. Inspector gives me a PDF inspection report. I give it to the contractor. I'm like, what's up? Like, fix your stuff. Like, because I don't even know what I'm doing. Like, and the guy's like, sure, no problem. He fixes it. Because apparently this is normal. Subcontractor fixes it. Hey, call inspection for tomorrow. Recall it. Great, call it. Boom, I get an email like 10:30 in the morning. Approval. I'm like, yes, sir. Approval. Like, thinking that I know something. So boom, as we get to the end of the construction process, I'm like looking for realtors. Like, I don't know, I've never even thought of like, how do I sell this house? Look for a realtor. Like, realtors are quoting me 5%, 6%, 4%. And this one girl, she like DMs me and she's like, hey, I can do it for 2.5%. I'm like, heck yeah, like do that. And so this is before I knew anything. So we listed on the house. It's sitting, can't sell. I'm at a church conference and like she texts me. She's like, hey, I think we're getting a full offer. I'm like, praise the Lord. Like I was just done giving generosity and I was like, this is a miracle. Like praise God. And so we got that house sold. I get fired at that time. And so guys, really, the most important thing that I want you to understand is you don't need to be an expert in construction. You just need to hire experts to do everything for you. And honestly, personally, like I know a lot of people want to build their own house with their own hands and do their own work. My personal opinion is if you're getting a loan, if you're getting a hard money loan, if you're getting just a personal house loan, honestly, it would be better that you hire professionals to do it. I strongly believe that
Subcontractors, right?
yes, subcontractors is what they're called. I strongly believe that after your first house, you'll realize the process, you'll understand the process, and then you can go on to build the second, a third, a fourth. And if you wanted to do something, sure, go ahead. But the point is you're relying on experts to get the job done for you, and you're not relying on yourself or your knowledge, and you're really just a master coordinator of it all. Yes, now I'm building a lot more projects. Yes, now I'm building a lot more complex projects. But honestly, the biggest blessing in my life has been all of my personal houses, just because of how simple it is, and just because of how I was able to avoid taxes because I lived in those houses for 2 years. I'm married. I don't know, a lot of you guys joined afterwards. I have 4 kids, and I'm able to file my taxes jointly and get up to $500,000 tax-free when I sell the home. A lot of people talk about 1031 exchanges and all that kind of stuff, but honestly, you don't need that if you're building a personal house. And if there's anybody out here that wants to start in construction, start in a personal house, because in the construction personal house space, it's so much more simple. There's so many loan products available. It's a lot less risky, and you'll be able to get it complete and do it. And so the process is a lot more simple than you think because you're relying on those experts.
And a big thing you have to understand, if you're going to build it yourself, a builder will charge you anywhere from 12 to 20% for the house. That's taking away a lot of the equity. I myself, I'm not a builder. I don't have a general contracting license. I hire Ruben, I pay him a fee, but I underwrite the deal as if I'm buying this to flip. So the numbers make so much sense that I'm able to pay Ruben 12, 15, 20% and still have that equity. So in the houses that I've built, and I shared the numbers I've been able to make, I wrote Ruben a check for 10%. It was always 10% because builders charge 12%, they charge 15%. Ruben's like, hey, I'll do it for 10%. And so watching Ruben, just watching the build process after the second, third house, honestly, I can go build houses myself. And I do. I know the process from start to finish. And I did not have to go get a general contracting license. The whole point is it's really that simple. And it's a matter of understanding how the puzzle pieces go and just adult babysitting. I always say that you literally just have to babysit people. That's it. That's the name of the game. That's the business. Because you have to understand, if I'm hiring a friend to go do just something random, that's personal. It's a personal relationship. Just me and my friend. It's not business. It's not as serious. This is really serious. You have a subcontractor. They have families. They have a business. They have their own business. They don't work for you. They work with you. It's a partnership. And you hold the check to pay them. So they have to produce, they have to perform, they have to do their job. You're going to pay them. That's the biggest leverage. That's the biggest thing I can tell you. Do not ever pay a subcontractor until they fully complete the job. I learned that myself. I'm not paying Ruben until he gets it done. And Ruben's not paying the subcontractor until they get it done.
And honestly, no hard feelings. Because once you get paid, a subcontractor, a builder, anyone, they lose all motivation. They got the money. You know what I'm saying? So it's most important. Arthur is absolutely spot on. I'm a builder. Don't pay me until the job is done, or progress payments or something along those lines. So many people get burnt on giving deposits. So many people get burnt on paying subcontractors ahead of time. Don't. Don't.
And another little tip, because I'm not a builder, I find the deals, I underwrite them. Ruben knows how to do it too, but I always run the numbers as if I'm paying 12% builder fee. And if I build it myself, that's a paycheck to me. So run your numbers like you're hiring a builder. The worst case scenario, if you get cold feet and you're like, I can't do this, go hire a builder and you can still build the house. If you run it that way and it makes sense, I'm telling you right now, it's going to be a killer deal. You're going to be super happy. But you still like you're playing against the market. If your area it's a $700,000 house, you find a lot, you find out it's going to cost you 550 grand, but then you find out somebody else has an offer that's $50,000 more than yours, and this is the dream property. Like, this is the property I've been waiting for my whole life. You can ask yourself, do I want to build it and it costs me 600 grand? And do I want to have 100 grand of equity? Well, if you're going to go buy one for 700 grand, maybe you still do it.
I mean, let's make it even worse. Let's say that your house is there's a house on the market for 600 grand, but it's 10 years old. There's problems with the HVAC. You know, there's like landscaping issues. There's massive trees that you need to take care of, but you go out and build this house, right? You go out, build this house. It costs you even the same, right? But it's brand new. It's how you want it. It looks the way you want it to look. Like, to me, that's a no-brainer. Like walking into, you know how people say there's a new car smell? Well, guess what? There is a new house smell, and it's better than a new car smell. So my personal opinion is like building a house is an absolute no-brainer. Build your own personal house. It is so worth it. The benefits outweigh all of the downsides 100%.
So the other question a lot of you guys have asked, doesn't this take a bunch of time? I have a full-time job. I work a 9 to 5. Ruben can answer that. It doesn't.
No, because I did it myself personally.
On the way to work, not yet. On the way to work, 15 minutes, checks the house out. On the way back from work, 15 minutes. He worked a full-time job, 8 hours a day, and still built his house. Me too. I was not the builder, so I hired a builder, but every day I stopped by in the morning and I stopped by after work. It took us 3 months and 3 weeks to recently build my buddy's house, all because we stopped by once a day for 15 minutes. So again, when you're on it and you're just stopping by, you can build, I don't know, what would you say? 5 houses, 6 houses? How much could you build doing full-time? If you were like, I love this, I don't want to quit my job. Realistically, 2 houses, 3?
Full-time?
If you're working a job and you're building.
Man, Arthur, honestly, one house is enough to replace an income.
So, okay, let's say how long will it take to build a house?
But I would say, I mean, I was able to handle like 15 at a time. So let's just be conservative. 3.
So that's the other thing. If you can learn the personal house game, you have a full-time job. You're not comfortable. You like the security. Dude, it takes 6 months to build a house. Build one every 6 months.
Yep.
2 houses a year. And I'll tell you right now, when you build your first house, document the living life out of it. Share it on your Instagram, whatever. So people can see that you did it. And I'm telling you, you're going to have people call you. Hey, can you build me a house? I'll pay you. Or there's an investment. You find a lot. There's a lot of people with a lot of money. They will say, hey, I want to do this with you. So I think it's a huge key that just learning this trade as a personal house, it's going to change your life. Why? Because you're not just going to do it for yourself. You now have this, how do you say it? Once you've seen it once, you can't unsee it. So it's stuck with you for the rest of your life. How to build a house is stuck with you. You can go do it for other people as long as you post it the right way. You share about it like, oh, I just built my own house. It was the coolest thing ever. If you want me to build you a house, let me know. However you take that, I just want you guys to know the value of that. That's why we're walking through this process of what it takes. All right. I think last step, sales process. All right, guys. First of all, I threw up the settlement statement. Honestly, I don't like to share numbers at all. And I was not going to, but last minute I added it. The reason I added it is it's not a lot of people. It's not the whole world. I really want you guys to see what's possible. That's it. When I built this house, interest rate was 6.8%. I started, it was 5.5. Interest just went, phew. And I got worried. I was like, crap. I thought it was going to be a $1 million sale. Oops. And now it's not a $1 million sale. Because interest rates are going up. Everybody's saying prices are going to go down. The whole point is I ended up selling it for 90 grand more than I projected. That, to me, that's huge. And the way we did that was after we built the house, we obviously built a beautiful house. We made all the nice finishes. It looked good. There was two offers on the table. Again, real estate agent. You got to find a killer real estate agent. Two offers on the table, and they get a call and they said, hey, there's this third person that's interested. And you know what they said? Hey, I have two offers on the table right now. We're accepting it at 5 o'clock. The person drove down from Seattle, went, looked at the house because there's the psychological two offers. The two offers on the table were 975 and $1 million. So 90 grand short of the asking price. The third offer came in full price. I show it there, literally offer full price. And the project ended up doing $50,000 better than I expected. The only reason I'm sharing this is, to me, this is crazy. I paid more than what the asking price was for the land. We overpaid, but I didn't overpay because I knew the numbers. And when we sold it, it was high interest rates, and I still sold it for 90 grand more than the asking price and the price that I had when I started the project with lower interest rates. The only reason I'm saying this is there's two things in life and two things in this industry you need to know. One, how to find a lot. They're everywhere. And two, the most important, how to run the numbers. That's it. If you can take that, build a personal house, you have grace because it's your personal house. You might end up costing the same as a house you would have bought on the market. It's not a big deal. But if you built it and it cost the same and you did it as an investment, guess what? You're going to be losing money. You're going to pay agent fees. You're going to pay interest. The interest is a lot higher. So in this case, there's a lot of grace on the personal house, but if you can run the numbers really well, I'm telling you guys, it could be 2, 3, 4 times your salary. Like, I don't know how to emphasize that anymore. And we're sharing it with you. I gave you 2 resources on how to do it. At the end of the day, it literally comes down to you guys taking action. That's it. Hopefully this was valuable. I don't know if we have anything else. I think that's it. I know we got a family dinner to catch, but we'll probably answer a couple questions and we'll be all wrapped up.
Yeah, guys. So the most important thing that we want you guys to understand today is that even if you don't want to become a builder, even if you don't want to get into construction, even if you don't want to do any of these kind of things, even if you don't understand numbers, you should absolutely build your own personal house, because in the United States of America, they encourage you to do it. And it's still to this day completely tax-free up to $250,000 if you're single, and completely tax-free up to $500,000 if you're married. And so this is the most important thing that I want to leave you with today. It is possible. You can do it, and it's absolutely easier than you think, and it's going to take you a lot less time than you think. So I want to encourage everyone here today, go ahead and ask your questions. Arthur pre-took some questions earlier, so we're just going to answer maybe 1 or 2 or 3 of those if we didn't answer them already. So go ahead, Arthur.
I think also if anybody just joined, I will share this. I'm going to share the recording if I have your email. If I don't have your email, just shoot me a DM. And the other thing is, after meeting Andy Elliott, meeting their team, honestly, they took something out of us. What I mean by that is they're like, dude, what you guys are doing is crazy. It's insane. And I think people deserve to know, number one, if it's just free knowledge, they're going to be set up. If you just give them the steps and they have enough grit and enough hustle, they'll go do it. And I had to figure it out. It took me 3 years to just get into real estate. I was reading books. I was reaching out. I would come to flippers. I'd say, hey, can I work for you for free? And he goes, no, I'm not going to create competition. So it's crazy to me. But now I realize, okay, if I can just at least put this out there, you can take this. It's a blueprint. It's what we do every single day. It's how we buy properties. I'll tell you right now, with the off-market stuff, how I do it. I recently just gotten a hold of a seller, and this same property, it's crazy, in this similar area, their asking price, we just talked in person. I met them. I shook their hand. They said, hey, I want 140 for this property. So in today's day, it's a 70K discount on this property. I'm writing up a contract right now, and I'm going to build this same exact duplex. So again, imagine those kind of deals, and now there's these kind of deals. It's just mastering the numbers. Somebody else could say 140 grand. That's crazy. So where you live, maybe North Carolina, or if you're in South Carolina, 140,000 is through the roof. I showed you the numbers. You can do it depending on if it makes sense. I was talking to a guy. He does remodels. We did 40, I forget, it's 40 something contracts this year. The average we had, without ever having to put $1 into the property, the average was 20, just shy of 20 grand. So we averaged 20 grand for the split between the purchase price and the sell price. What I mean is I'm selling paper. I sign the 6-page document and an investor says, I'll pay you this much. Like I said, 120, and I got it for 100. I get the difference. He does 2 flips a month. 2. I told him, look, just learn from us. And with one of the flips, you'll already get 10 times your money back.
Let me tell you a story instead. So in business, in the t-shirt business, I wanted to look for a mentor. I went to California, I met with a guy, and I realized I was doing everything wrong. Like, that's just the truth. In my wholesale company, I was messing up. Like, we were losing contracts, people were stealing deals from us, we were writing memos. It was just an absolute mess. I hired a mentor. I could sleep at night because they taught me what I didn't know. The Bible says, "My people perish for a lack of knowledge." I like to call the Bible honestly like a playbook for business because it has so many years of wisdom. And so when you don't have the knowledge, you're absolutely going to fail, and you're going to have to fail. And failing is okay. Hear me out. Failing is okay because you learn. But sometimes you can fail a little bit less and fall a little bit softer. You don't have to fall as hard. So in business, I hired multiple mentors that taught me how they did it, how to avoid these simple obstacles and go around them. I paid people to tell me how to build the sales floor. I paid people to tell me how to wholesale, how to print t-shirts. I paid people it's just, there is so much power in learning from someone that has already done something. So for me, that's what I would do different. I would have personally instead maybe gone to work for a builder for a longer time and actually learned the process A to Z and actually know what I'm doing. Maybe a smaller builder. Maybe I worked for a national builder and they're very secretive about how they do things. They hide things. Like, they just want to make sure that you do only like one simple thing. Like, hey, your job is to pick up trash and your job is to clean out crawl spaces. That'd be my biggest takeaway from everything I've done the past 5 years is I would rather save time because time is limited, and I would pay to learn something or a skill instead of failing myself and just constantly bumping my head against the wall.
Thank you so much for finishing through on our free Zoom call about our story and how we got into real estate and how we underwrote this duplex deal.
Super excited. The most important thing that I want you to get from this YouTube video today is actually follow us on social media. We're going to be doing these Zooms, these free Zoom calls often. So all of the links are in the description. Follow us, we'll post them, and then you'll be in the loop on us.
That's right. And we have lots of projects where we're going to do long or mini movies on the start to finish, including Fir Crest, our 28 townhomes that's coming up this year.
Let's go!